Do you ever feel overwhelmed by the ever-changing world of technology? Tech It Out can help make some sense of it all. Breaking down geek speak into street speak, technology columnist, author, and TV personality Mark Saltzman covers consumer technology each week for every listener. Mark tackles the latest news, reviews, and how-tos to help you understand what's hot, what's not, and why.
Hey everyone, happy holiday season to you all. Thanks for tuning in to Tech It Out, episode 127. I had a busy but fun week flying around to do some TV interviews tied to the holidays. Plus, I was a keynote speaker at an Ag Tech Expo in Indianapolis. That's right, agricultural technology. I met several very forward-thinking farmers there. And I know what you're thinking. Farming and technology seem like polar opposites, but that's certainly not the case. They need tech to help find efficiencies and help boost productivity and profits, as many in the farming industry are facing a challenging time, especially those who produce food. The issue is, as you likely know, how do you feed a growing global population when things like urbanization means fewer farms and farmland and labor shortages and unpredictable weather that could ruin crops? So I talked about drones that can not only fly above crops to assess them, but even spray them with water or fertilizer or pesticides or even seeds. How cool is that? There's autonomous tractors that can work on the farm with very little to no human intervention. There's augmented reality glasses that superimpose information on top of the real world around you to show you relevant information in real time. So thank you to Farm Journal for having me at the Ag Tech Expo on Tuesday. It was a privilege to be your closing speaker. All right, enough about me. We have a great show planned for you this hour with several guests. We'll be joined in a minute by Cadillac. We're going to learn about a new service they've got called Cadillac Live. It's really cool. After that, we'll touch base with Epson to learn about what's new in projectors. And we'll talk with Google to chat about its new gaming console, Google Stadia, that has a very unique twist to it. All of this and more on this weekend's Tech It Out. Earlier in 2019, I was at a Cadillac event in Toronto that showcased some really smart technology, but this time it wasn't inside their vehicles, but rather it helped shoppers who were thinking about picking up a Cadillac in a really cool and innovative way. It's called Cadillac Live, and it did have a successful year in Canada, and now it's launching in the US. And so, to explain what Cadillac Live is all about, we're joined on the line by James Nava from Cadillac. Welcome to the show, James.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Great. So why don't we start at a high level? What is Cadillac Live?
Sure. Yeah, Cadillac Live is a digital showroom and an immersive customer experience that offers a unique way to learn more about the Cadillac vehicle lineup. It offers access to dynamic views of the vehicles while learning more about them in detail via two-way audio and one-way video conversation with trained live agents across any mobile or desktop device. And really, this idea came from our understanding that consumers are very busy these days. They have limited time for vehicle research, and looking at data and trends about how shopping habits have changed, we really wanted to create this tool that allowed customers to learn more about the brand's vehicle lineup from the comfort of their home, office, or even their gym, really, anywhere they are, with a real person who could walk them through a personalized, customized experience for them.
All right, so the idea is on a mobile device like a phone or a tablet, or on a computer like a laptop or desktop, Cadillac Live lets you talk to a real Cadillac representative who will show you the vehicle. So you can see them, but they can't see you, but they can hear you. You can say, hey, like, can you open up the trunk? I want to see what it looks like. Or do you mind getting in the back seat? I want to check out the legroom. And it's a live chat, and they'll walk you through the vehicle of your choice in an inside showroom. That's kind of the idea, right?
You're 100% right. So as long as the customer has internet access, so they can be on any device, as long as they're connected to the internet, they will talk live to an agent. They can see the agent. The agent, to your point, cannot see them, but they can really lead the conversation. They can look at any one of our products, and they can ask questions that are pertinent to them. So if they want to see, for example, the cargo space in the vehicle, and they ask, can my golf clubs fit in the back? We actually even have props on site where the live agents can then take the prop, take the golf club, put it in the cargo, and show them exactly how a golf club's set would fit in that vehicle. And they'll do that for things like legroom as well, or technology. Any question that the customer has, these agents are equipped to answer it. And again, they even have props to help demonstrate.
Mm-hmm. You had me at technology. Okay, I love it. And this is really smart technology. And it did well in Canada in 2019. So it was kind of like a test market, maybe. And then now it's launching in the States, right?
Absolutely. We're very proud of this being a Canadian technology. There's lots of film space and there's a lot of talent as well, a very diverse set of talent. So we really saw that this could be expanded globally if it was successful. And we did see a lot of success in Canada, actually. We continue to see customers calling in from coast to coast. And we're really seeing an encouraging number of customers that complete a full session. And more importantly, a lot of the people that complete a session are actually being converted into a test drive at dealerships, and many of them purchasing a vehicle. We've also had 100% of the dealers in the Canadian network buy into the program. And in fact, dealers have been using Cadillac Live for even things like sales consultant training. So they'll do their morning meetings and do some training as well from a dealership perspective. So it's turned into a bit of a multi-purpose platform, but ultimately this is really about giving the customer the best possible shopping experience that we can deliver.
Okay, so it's not to replace actually visiting a dealership and climbing behind the wheel of a Cadillac and taking it for a test drive, but it's a great solution for those who are super busy, like myself, where I travel a lot, and it just lets me virtually take a look at a vehicle inside and out that you carry, and then you would hope that they would come to an actual dealership to try it. But the people you're talking to aren't like a car salesman, right? Like it's not like a hard sell.
Absolutely not. It's a very low pressure environment. That's one of the beautiful things about Cadillac Live. The customer comes on their terms. It's when they have availability. Myself, I have 4 kids. My wife and I both have lead busy careers. And by the time I get to shopping for a vehicle, it's 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, and the dealership's closed.
Right.
But now I can go online to Cadillac Live and really ask any questions that are important to me and have a walk around of any vehicle. So, again, it really is meant to be a no pressure, low pressure environment.
Right.
At the end of the day, I still have to go to the dealership for paperwork. And test drive the vehicle if I want, but all my questions are answered up front. These live agents are very knowledgeable about our product and can answer any customer question.
We're chatting with James Nava from Cadillac. Launching in the United States is a service called Cadillac Live, where anyone on a mobile device, as long as it's connected to the internet or a computer, can virtually visit a showroom by talking with a Cadillac representative, has access to various vehicles. It could be a sedan, it could be an SUV, a crossover, and then you ask which, you can ask them to show you the inside as well, and that's essentially how it works. But could you walk us through, James, like how to get going? So I mentioned the kinds of devices that you can use, and you said you do need an internet connection, but then do you need to sign up first? Is it a website, not an app? Is that correct?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So it's a website. It's very easy to use. You don't need to download an app or anything. As long as you have an internet connection, you can be on your desktop, your laptop, tablet, smartphone. As long as you have audio and video capability, you're all set. You're ready to go. So it's very easy, very intuitive to use. But you do need to register first on the website. So we will be looking for your name, email address, and zip code to get into the site. And that's really just to help facilitate getting you to the right dealer if you decide to pursue a test drive. Right.
And on that note, this service does work nationally, right? Doesn't matter where you are in the States. You can be in LA or New York or even a small town for that matter.
It absolutely will work across the country. That being said, we're launching in 5 states. So we're launching in Illinois, California, New Jersey, New York, and Texas. So that's where a lot of our advertising will be focused, but it absolutely is available across the country from coast to coast.
And what is the website? I know we're not quite done chatting yet, but why not plug it already?
So great question. The URL for the website is live.cadillac.com. You can also get there from Cadillac.com as well.
Okay, and it'll just be called Cadillac Live on the main Cadillac.com website, and you can click that, sign up, and then start a session. Do you need to book it in advance like you would, going in person somewhere? Do you have to schedule a time with somebody, or can you just call in anytime you like?
You don't need to book in advance. You're able to, if you prefer to book an appointment in advance. But we do have a good number of agents on staff ready and waiting to handle your questions. So you can go directly to the website and go right into the digital showroom, and someone will be waiting to answer any questions that you have. Right now, we're currently working 9 a.m. to 1 a.m. Monday to Thursday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. on Friday, and 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Saturday and Sunday. Those are all Eastern Standard Times.
Okay. Got it. And then finally, who would you say, James, is your target audience? Like I was saying earlier, I'm super busy, but I may be interested in, to replace my CT6, which I've had for 2 years, that kind of thing. So would you say your target audience are busy professionals or millennials, someone that may be more comfortable using this kind of technology, even though it's not difficult to do it?
Yeah, our target audience is really today's luxury auto shopper. Those people that our research shows are more self-assured, they're well-informed, and they're more discerning than ever before. They really have access to more information, and their buying experience is increasingly self-led. It's digital first, and most importantly, they want it on their terms.
Right.
So this tool really empowers customers to shop whenever and wherever they want.
All right. So again, the website, if you can plug it one more time, but the service is called Cadillac Live, and it's available now, correct?
It's available now. You simply go to live.cadillac.com, and you'll be taken right into this digital showroom for a very personalized, customized, immersive experience.
I hope it's as much of a success in the U.S. as it was in Canada and is currently in Canada. James Nava has been our guest from Cadillac. Thanks very much for your time, and have a great holiday season.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate being on the show, and the same to you as well. Take care.
This show, Tech It Out, is powered by ASUS, the company that creates technology for today and tomorrow's smart life, including its line of award-winning laptops, desktops, monitors, smartphones, tablets, smartwatches, and more. For those in search of incredible, visit asus.com/US/radio for more info. When we return on Tech It Out, we're going to talk with Epson about its 4K projectors. We'll be right back.
Listen to Tech It Out whenever you want. Find the Tech It Out podcast at iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to Tech It Out, and happy holidays to you all. Merry Christmas, happy Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate. I hope you have an enjoyable, peaceful season, and all the best for 2020 as well. One of the biggest trends in televisions this year is larger sizes, in part to replicate the movie theater experience in the home. So even 70 or 80-inch TVs are becoming somewhat popular. But did you know you can even go bigger than that if you consider projectors that can splash an image onto a screen or wall at 120 inches or even bigger than that? And we're talking 4K resolution, high dynamic range, or HDR for better color, contrast, and brightness, and a lot more. Joining us on the line to chat about Epson's projectors is Carlos Raganessi. He's the product manager for home entertainment for projectors at Epson America. Welcome to the show, Carlos, and happy holidays to you.
Hi, Mark. Thank you for inviting me. Happy to share my thoughts and my experience in the industry.
Yeah, before we talk about specific models, and I've been showing the Home Cinema 3800 on various television stations this past week. Before we get to that, though, let's talk a little bit more high level. Let's chat about the benefits of a projector versus a flat panel television.
Sure. So the first thing is that with a projector, you get a much more immersive experience, basically relying on the fact that you can produce a much larger picture. Flat panels are limited by the size of the panel. With the projector, you have the flexibility first of adjusting the picture to the available space and then changing that size of a projected picture every time you use it if you want to. But you can get to sizes of even up to 300 inches, which is totally more than what people have available. But
Right.
Let's say a sweet spot would be between 120, 130, or even 150 inches at home. That would immerse yourself into a picture way better than a TV does, and it gives you the feeling of being in the theater with having the stream of light coming from behind you and being shining on the screen rather than just the TV flashing their LED lights on your eyes. It's just a much more immersive experience. When you see it, it's like you don't want to go back.
It's also like a softer picture. Like, it's detailed. Like, you can see that crisp resolution, but it has, I don't know if it's because it's a projection, but it has that movie theater like feel. Like, I called it softer, but I don't know what the technical term is, but do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. So there's a beauty behind it. It's a reason why the people that are in the industry of the movie industry prefer that feeling, because it gives it a sense of something that is more natural rather than it's something that is electronic. One of the things we try to push for as a company is to not get in the way. The technology has to disappear. We have to try to convey everything that the director intended without showing our technology. When you actually are enjoying the picture and not thinking about the technology that drives it, is when you're actually maximizing your experience.
Now, we have an Epson projector in our home theater in our basement, and we use it primarily for movies, but we also watch sports a lot on it as well. So it's not just for movies, it's also for sports, video games, TV shows, and more. But yes, I can see the appeal for those types who love to watch movies at home to replicate that movie theater experience, as I said off the top. Now, Carlos, I've been showing, as I mentioned, on the road this week, the Home Cinema 3800. Please tell us about this model, and I understand the 3200 model also debuted at around the same time.
Correct. So both the 3800 and the 3200 were launched at the same time. There are the latest members of the 4K Pro UHD family of projectors. That means they support 4K content for razor-sharp images.
So 4K refers to the resolution, how many pixels or dots make up the image, and it's 4 times the resolution of a 1080p television, so that much more detail. I often tell people going from HD to 4K is like slipping on a pair of prescription glasses for the first time. Everything gets super clear.
That's a very good comparison.
Yeah, thank you. So these projectors can deliver a really crisp image, and it's supporting the content. So if you've got a 4K source, like a cable box or a streaming service or maybe a Blu-ray player, it will show it in 4K. But even if the source is in HD, it will up-convert to near 4K quality as well, correct?
That's very right. And one important thing and very relevant is that with the latest standard of HDMI, which is the 2.0 that's been out there, we support 4K at 60 hertz and HDR10 at the same time. So that means that if you're using one of the latest gaming consoles that support 4K at 60 hertz, which you actually need because of the refresh rate for a nightly gaming session, and the latest streaming devices, a lot of like Netflix services and similar are using 4K at 60 hertz, and we fully support that with this solution.
Yeah, thanks for that. I know it's a bit of geek speak, but yeah, I mentioned HDR or high dynamic range off the top. That's just better contrast. That's the difference between the darkest blacks and the whitest whites, and better brightness and color. And HDR10 is even a better version of HDR. And the refresh rate is what you're referring to, which is the motion when you're playing a video game. You want it to keep up with the game, or else it may not look quite right. So definitely some important features there. And speaking of contrast, I know with the Epson Home Cinema 3800, it supports 100,000 to 1 contrast ratio. So the dark images, like in a movie or whatever, it looks fantastic.
Absolutely. So part of the differences between the 3800 and the 3200, the 3800, it's like the better product. It offers 3,000 lumens of brightness and 100,000 to 1 contrast ratio, like you mentioned. So it gives you both the brightness that you need especially when you're doing HDR, you need extra level of brightness. And if you're watching content that is like TV type of content, you probably don't want to have your lights off. Like if you're watching a movie, so if you're watching sports, those 3,000 lumens, you're going to appreciate them. And the 3800 has 2,900 lumens, so a little bit less, and 40,000 to 1 contrast ratio. So it's the 3800, it's like the top of the line within the entry level of the 4K Pro UHD family.
We're going to continue our chat with Epson shortly, where we'll learn a little bit more about the Home Cinema 3200 and 3800 4K projectors. Stay with us. You're listening to Tech It Out on the Radio America Network. Hope you've been enjoying the show so far. We'll continue chatting with Epson momentarily. We'll be right back.
Want to follow Mark? Google him. Mark with a C and Saltzman with a Z. Breaking down geek speak into street speak. This is Tech It Out. Tech It Out with technology columnist, author, and TV personality Mark Saltzman.
Welcome back to Tech It Out. We're talking with Carlos Reganesi, product manager for home entertainment for projectors at Epson America. So I often get this question when I show the projector on TV. The hosts ask me, do you need a screen to project it onto? And I tell them it's ideal, and that's what I have in my home. But you can, if you have a light enough wall and you're in an environment where the lighting is controlled, like not a lot of windows with ambient light coming in, you could splash an image right onto a wall as well.
Absolutely. So we've actually tested it. We've seen our end users using it and shining it on walls, and not even sometimes a fully flat white wall. Sometimes it has a pattern. Sometimes it's wallpaper. but the experience is still preferred because of the size it delivers and the convenience of just turning it on when you need it and then disappearing when you're not using it. So if you have the space for a dedicated room, that's obviously preferred. You're going to enjoy a much better picture. But if you wanted to use it in your everyday space with some lights on and maybe not on the screen, so you just use your bare wall, that's totally fine. It just depends on the environment, the level of brightness that you will enjoy in that environment. It depends on the lighting.
Thanks for clarifying that. The 3800 model supports 3D images. I'm not sure about the 3200, but there are those movie buffs that like to wear glasses and see movies in 3D. Both projectors support 3D if your source content supports it as well?
That is correct. That is correct. So the differences are the lumens that I already covered and the contrast ratio, the speakers, which the 3800 has also built in. The 3200 doesn't have speakers. And then there's some connectivity, control for and other sophisticated elements that you would have inside an installation. But the 3200 doesn't have those options, and the 3800 does have those options.
What about, Carlos, differences between these projectors and other projector technologies out there?
Oh, that's a very good question. So there's a lot of options when you shop around for 4K projectors. The one thing that makes our projectors, Epson projectors, different is that we use 3-chip design in all of them. This is what you would find in commercial theaters, and this is probably not what you will find if you are shopping for projectors from the competition, which use only a 1-chip DLP solution, and that suffers from color brightness problems that do not match the spec brightness that you show, that's only the white brightness, and also has rainbow issues. So with a 3-chip design, you basically overcome all those problems. You have the same level of brightness in color than in white, and you don't have any rainbow problems.
And also, I want to just mention on that note as well that Epson also has laser-based short-throw projectors as well. That's a whole other sort of category, and I'd love to have you back on the show to talk about that one day. But that's also another option where it's closer to the wall, it's on the ground instead of mounted to the ceiling in most cases, and it's a lampless solution. But that's something else that we can chat another time about.
Happy to do that. That's actually a product that much better replaces a large flat panel because you can actually use it fully with the lights on. So we're thinking about different technologies that we can offer so that people have all the flexibility they want. We envision people having an Epson small projector for the convenience of moving it around. We envision people also having a theater type of projector like the 3800 in a dedicated space that you have light control. And we also envision people having a big 100 inches or 120 in their living room with the lights on, replacing a large flat panel TV. So that means that with all those 3 products, you can replace any possible option of a flat panel in your house.
Okay, so with that in mind then, Carlos, let's chat pricing. I'm assuming the 3800 is a little bit more than the 3200.
So the price difference is $200. It's $14.99 for the 3200 in U.S. and $16.99 for the 3800 in U.S. also. So it's only $200 difference and what you get for that is extra 100 lumens, 60,000 to 1 contrast ratio extra on top of the 40,000 of the 32. You also get built-in speakers and connectivity for Control 4 and other system integrated devices. Yeah,
Control 4 is popular still for sure. So that's not a big difference at all. So I think for the extra $200, you'd want those extra bells and whistles with the 3800.
For sure. And one thing to mention that I think we didn't cover is that both of them do have a Bluetooth option and audio out, so you can connect external speakers to them easily, wireless or with a wire. Both of them offer the same option.
Wow, fantastic. Carlos Ragonesi, Product Manager for Home Entertainment for Projectors at Epson America. Thank you so much for your time. I can't wait to get some downtime myself after all my travels and watch movies on my projector, on my home cinema projector over the holidays with my family. So thank you so much for everything. I appreciate your time and all the best for the holidays and for 2020.
Thank you, Mark. And don't forget to enjoy Home Alone or any of the other Christmas movies in the time of the year.
That's on our list. Thanks again.
All right. Have a good one.
I'm actually writing an article for AARP right now about having a staycation, and I do recommend a projector as a great alternative to a flat screen TV. My wife and I tend to watch TV shows and the news on regular television, but when it comes to movies and sports, there's nothing like a projector, in my opinion. Hey, before we take a short break, we do have time to answer some questions from the mailbag, and of course, you too can send me tech questions at tech@marksaltzman.com. That's TECH@MARCSALTZMAN.com. The first question is, my wife and I have used a Panasonic DECT phone, that's DECT, telephone for years, but the machine's answering service is getting full. There are many messages that we want to keep, including friends and relatives no longer living and our grandkids when they were younger. Any ideas would be greatly appreciated, Mark. So, first of all, thank you for the note, Bob. His name's Bob from Cincinnati. There's a simple and inexpensive solution, whether your audio messages are stored on the phone's answering machine system, a cassette tape, or digitally archived with your phone's provider. Regardless, the process is more or less the same. If you have a smartphone or tablet, open the voice recorder app. It's usually pre-installed on all those devices. Or download a free recorder app from the App Store for iPhone or iPad or Google Play for Android devices. Then play the voicemail on the existing phone, but hold it up to the microphone of your smartphone or tablet. It may take a little bit of trial and error until it's clear enough, but this is the simplest and cheapest way to digitize old analog voicemail recordings. Just press play on the phone and press the little red record button on your smartphone or tablet, and that should archive it. Once that file is on your phone or tablet, you can email it to yourself to archive on a computer, or you can upload it to a free cloud account for long-term storage like Dropbox or OneDrive or what have you. But name the file accordingly so you can easily search for it by keywords such as John Smith, 2010, voicemail, or something like that. Well, I thought I had time for another question, but we don't. But feel free to send me yours. I'll reply privately and I'll read them on the air as much as I can. tech@marksaltzman.com. We'll be right back with more Tech It Out. Stay with us.
Breaking down geek speak into street speak. Tech It Out, hosted by Mark Saltzman.
Welcome back to Tech It Out. When you hear the word video game consoles, chances are you think of a PlayStation or an Xbox or maybe a Nintendo machine. But if you've been following the hype over the last number of months, a little old company called Google is readying its first foray into the multi-billion-dollar console game space with a very unique product called Google Stadia. Joining us on the line to tell us all about it is John Justice. He's the VP and head of product for Stadia at Google. Welcome to the show, John. Thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me, Mark.
All right, so let's assume my audience has not yet heard of Stadia. Please tell us what it is.
Sure. So Stadia is the next generation game system from Google. It runs out of the cloud, so it turns all the screens you already have into high-end gaming machines. And it's coming this year.
All right. So it's still a box. It's still a console that you connect to a television or a computer monitor, or no? It's in the cloud, meaning all the technology is on your end, on your computers and servers.
So here's the special thing. We run it all in our servers, and so you don't have to go buy a big console or gaming PC to run it in your house. Instead, we take care of that. And so we'll run any place that has a Chrome browser, and so that includes on your laptop, on your any other computer you have, on your Mac. It'll run on Chromecast Ultra, so if you have that plugged into your TV, you can play it on your TV, and it'll run on phones. We're starting with Pixel phones, and we'll bring it broadly across the rest.
So, John, would a fair analogy be that Stadia is to gaming as Netflix is to DVDs or Blu-ray discs? You don't need anything physical with you. Everything is in the cloud on the internet. So that's the same with gaming. You don't need anything local other than a controller, presumably.
Well, I think that's probably halfway there. I think Netflix does two things. One, it's streaming, so it's accessible a whole lot of places, and we're absolutely that. Netflix also is a subscription-only model. You can't buy things. You can only subscribe. We hear players some want to buy games, some want to subscribe to services, and so we support both. And so we have the access side of Netflix, and that lots and lots of people can use this without buying a whole bunch of hardware. And we support both buying games or subscribing for games.
All right, so you can choose whether you want the a la carte model where you pay for what you play, like one game here, one game there, or the buffet or all-you-can-eat approach where you pay one fee per month and then you've got access to a catalog of games like Netflix does for movies and TV shows.
That's right. So on the one side, we have buying games just like people are used to today. Mm-hmm. And then we support multiple subscriptions. We have our own subscription called Stadia Pro, where we put in some games every month. And then we work with partners like Ubisoft, who has Uplay Plus. And so Uplay Plus is coming out on Stadia, and that will support many games from Ubisoft.
Right. Okay, got it. So what are some of the key advantages to Stadia, John, compared to Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo? The traditional boxes.
Sure. I think I'd break it down into access and experience. On the access side, today, if you want to play high-end games, say you want to play the latest thing coming out, you have to buy an expensive box, and then you have to keep upgrading it, whether you're upgrading a PC or buying the next console and the next console. And so that's a barrier to access. That's also locked to a single screen unless you buy several of them. And you usually also have to wait to either go to the store to get the games or wait for them to download. So on the access side, we don't do any of those. Instead, we buy the box for you and give you access to the hardware, and it's better hardware than any console you can buy. We'll let you run across any of your screens that you can go connect to. So if living room TV is busy, you can go switch over to playing on your laptop. And we don't have any waiting. So the 5 seconds jumping into a game, that's a big difference from waiting for a big download today like you'd have with other systems. That other side is experience. So on experience, one way of looking at it is just good graphics, high-end content. And so we have that. It's the machines we run on are actually a good chunk more powerful than the most powerful consoles you can buy today. And then along with that, we're also making games which are only possible in the cloud. And so the games you'll see come out from us will be able to do things that you just couldn't do on any normal system.
Like what? Can you give us an example?
Sure. So something like massive worlds or having better player characters that you're interacting with better artificial intelligence, taking advantage of Google's great technology for machine learning and AI that we use to back many of our other products. We can use these now for games and make them available for game developers. And those are things that you'd never be able to put into a console in somebody's home because you could never afford it. Mm-hmm. But we can have those up in the cloud, and we can let those out for game developers to use.
We're chatting with John Justice, Vice President and Head of Product for Stadia at Google, talking about its upcoming gaming platform. It's not actually a console because you can play it on several devices, and all the technology is in the cloud or on the internet. With that in mind, John, if there's an update today to a game you're playing on, say, PS4 or Xbox or what have you, you need to download that update. Can I assume that if you're playing a game in the cloud on Stadia's servers on your end, that if there is an update that, say, Ubisoft or another game developer or publisher adds to fix some issues or add new content, that it's sort of invisible to the player?
That's right. So whether you're trying a new game or whether you're getting an update on an existing one, you don't have to have that long downtime. Today, when I'm playing on a traditional console, if I want to try a new game, usually I don't get to play it that day because I have to wait for it to download or wait for system updates to come in. Or even if some new part of the game came in, I usually still can't play that day. Instead, with Stadia, I just don't have to wait anymore. I can just go in. We're all busy, and so being able to play when I want, where I want, that's a real convenience.
We'll continue chatting about Google Stadia when we return.
Follow Mark Saltzman on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. Listen to Tech It Out whenever you want.
We're chatting with John Justice, VP and Head of Product for Stadia at Google, learning all about this next-generation gaming platform. Before the break, John, you were telling me that you could log on to a game on one device, like an Android smartphone, and then when you get home on your TV, continue where you left off, all thanks to the cloud. That's pretty cool.
It's part of our effort to make gaming more widely accessible.
What kind of partners do you have? You mentioned Ubisoft earlier. Are there any sort of AAA publishers that our listeners may have heard of?
Oh, we're working with just about everybody. If you look, we got a list up on the website, but We've been announcing games left and right. We just announced a new batch at Gamescom. We announced, in that batch, Cyberpunk 2077, which has a lot of people very excited. That one's coming out.
Yep, myself
and that's
included.
The kind of game. Yeah, and that's a game that a lot of people's systems aren't powerful enough to play it. So playing it on our systems, that's a good way to go. And also, it's one that I know I'll be playing for a long, long time. And so being able to go play it in the hotel room when I'm traveling or wherever I am, that'll be a really good benefit for me.
Also, John, with that in mind, and I sort of compared it to Netflix earlier, if you started a game like Cyberpunk 2077 on your Android phone, your Google Pixel 3a or something like that, and then you go to your PC or your TV at home, will it continue where you left off?
Yeah, well, in fact, you can even just pause a game and switch screens, which is a pretty fun thing to do. We were showing that off at Gamescom, the big European Games Conference, about a week ago. They have almost 400,000 people come to Gamescom every year. And we showed it at PAX just this past weekend. And so we've had thousands of people coming and trying that, playing games on Pixel, playing them on actually laptops or big screens. And it's been awesome seeing the response.
What if you go to your buddy's house after work or after school and they have Stadia? Can you log in with your credentials and have access to your content?
Yep, you can.
Wow.
You can go wherever it is you go, you can log in. As long as you have a decent internet connection, then you'll be fine. And we are working on making it so that Stadia takes less and less and less bandwidth so we can work across as many connections as possible.
And that leads me to my second last question, John. We'll end off on price and availability when we can actually get our hands on it. But what do you need to get going? This all sounds amazing. However, no question that you're going to need a very fast internet connection, or is it a persistent connection? You're going to always need to be connected while you play. And how are you going to address those who maybe live in rural areas or other areas where the internet isn't so fast?
Yep. So for making it work today, we recommend for the very highest end experience for 4K, HDR, surround sound, all of that kind of stuff, then about 35 megabits per second. On the low end, we recommend a minimum of about 10. So if you have about 10, which most people have, not everyone does, but most people have, then 10 gives you a good, solid experience. And we're also working with ISPs all across the country to go improve connections. Google already has a very good network and good connections with ISPs, but we're working with ISPs to make it better. The other thing that helps here is 5G is coming, and 5G is bringing in new fast connections for a lot of people who might not have been able to get good connections before. So whether folks are in rural areas or if they're just in areas that you just can't get a very good connection, 5G looks like it's going to come in and be a good help. So we're excited about working with folks on making that better.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, there's a lot of buzz about that too. And that's one of the applications is gaming, interactive entertainment. And then finally, John, when can our listeners and others get their hands on Stadia for the first time? And what's the approximate price point you're looking at?
Yeah, this year we're launching the Founders Edition. So we have a Founders Edition that lets you get everything you need all at once. So in the US, it's $129, and that gets you a Stadia Pro controller, or the Stadia controller, which connects it directly up to the cloud, which is a pretty cool thing. It makes it extra fast. It gets you a Chromecast Ultra, so you can play on biggest screen you have. 3 months of Stadia Pro, which comes with games and access to 4K and some other kinds of cool things. And it gives you a buddy pass, so you can go give access to a friend to play with you for 3 months.
Wow. And the price, that's considerable difference in price compared to rival consoles out there. It's a lot more affordable. Are the games comparable in price, like $60?
Yeah, games are comparable in price. And because it's a lot more powerful with higher detail and generally better than any other console that you can buy today. So that's what's coming in this November, and we're doing pre-orders now. Okay,
and the best website for pre-orders or other info on Stadia, including videos, if they want to see what the games look like?
Just check out Stadia.com.
All right, Stadia.
Right.
.com. Thank you very much, John.
Thanks very much for having me, Mark.
Well, that wraps up this week's Tech It Out. Hope you enjoyed the program. Good luck if you're entering the Hotels.com giveaway, $250 Hotels.com gift card. And thank you to ASUS, the title sponsor on this program. Tech It Out is brought to you by ASUS, creating technology for today and tomorrow's smart life. ASUS, for those in search of incredible. Visit asus.com/US/radio for more info. That's ASUS.com/US/radio. Have a great rest rest of your weekend, everyone. Bye-bye for now. Ciao.